When we talk about improving thoracic extension, which is the upper part of your back, we have to include the rib cage. The rib cage is literally a part of your spine, and the rib cage wraps forward. So whenever we are doing anything that is specifically related to training better movement of the upper spine, I'm always going to include breathing exercises, because if we can get the diaphragm to move better, the rib cage to move better, then we can get the upper back to move better. So they have a close relationship, so we got to train both. Your hands are going to wrap around your rib cage. Make sure that your fingers are in the front of your ribs, and then the thumb is just placed somewhere on the side or maybe even a little bit behind, so you can feel rib cage movement. Now, it's very difficult for me to sit here and breathe while also coaching breathing, so I'm not going to actually do it, but I'm going to coach and cue you through it. So just take your base position, close your eyes, hands are on the rib cage. You're going to take an inhalation through your nose. Make it very quiet, very slow. When you're taking your inhalation through your nose, I want you to keep the breath in the rib cage and try to not let the breath seep into your belly area as you inhale air in. Once you've taken a full inhalation, you'll exhale out through your mouth. About for 8 seconds. If you do a very good job at this exhalation, you'll naturally feel your obliques contract. You'll feel your core contract without you having to force or try to contract your core. It will happen at the end of your exhalation. Once you feel that contraction, can you keep that contraction? Not bear down the contraction, but can you just maintain that placement of your rib cage, that contraction? Start your next inhale through your nose. Very slow. And then exhale out through the mouth. Keep that abdominal contraction as you slowly take the next inhale through your nose. You should hopefully start to notice when you keep that contraction and then go into your next exhale, you should feel your back start to press against the floor beneath you, and that's air being directed into the back of your rib cage. Because you are maintaining that contraction in the front of your rib cage, your tissues have no choice but to yield more in the back, so the air is going to go there, and it's essentially like stretching from the inside out with using your breathing. Nothing is forced. You are just taking about a 4 to 5 second inhalation, quiet inhale, slow inhale through the nose, and then you exhale out through the mouth. About 8 seconds. Maintain that contraction. Start your inhale again. Very slow. You'll start to feel your hands going out, your rib cage expanding when you take a breath in through your nose. When you take an exhale, you should feel your rib cage kind of collapse, come in like a corset, not forcing it, but with the just motion of breathing out. You can do about 4 to 5 reps of these. And as you start to get comfortable with them, I will say, if you're not really feeling what I'm asking you to do right now, just know that the diaphragm is a muscle. It is something that has to be trained just like any other muscles. And you're probably just used to the breathing pattern you are currently comfortable with. So just keep practicing. For this breathing, this can be used really on any stretches. This is great for the spine because it's stretching from the inside out. Another one of my favorite base positions to do this breathing, if you have a very tight back, low back, upper back, coming into a seated position with like a pillow or a ball in front of you, grabbing your ankles, which is just going to force you more into spine flexion, and you'll really get a nice stretch in your spine wherever you're tight. If you're more tight in your low back, your legs will be farther away from you for your base position of breathing. If you want to get more into the upper thoracic spine, your heels will be closer to you. You'll probably want to not have that ball there. And you'll just position yourself until you feel the stretch in your spine. You'll start your breathing pattern, inhaling through the nose, trying to not let that air seep into the belly. And then you'll exhale out through the mouth. Maintaining that contraction in the front side. And then you'll start again, inhale through the nose. So, position that you choose to breathe in, completely up to you, but excellent, excellent way to open up. So now we're going to do some hinge point training. You'll actually need your ball or a foam roller. I'm going to demonstrate with the foam roller. You're going to place the foam roller right underneath your scapula. Really anywhere that you're trying to train where your spine is not really moving that much. And we're going to use this foam roller, or if you have a ball, as a fulcrum point. So anything below your object, lower back, hips, is not moving as we go into extension. Your hands can come right underneath your head. Just keep your shoulders relaxed away down from your ears. Remember, your object is a fulcrum point, so as we start to go into extension over our object, I'm really trying to connect and pinpoint where the foam roller is in my spine, and that is only where I want to find that spine extension. Another thing to consider and just be aware of is watching out for flare of the rib cage here. Keep your connection with your core so you really can get into more of the spine and not just rib cage flaring. Once you've gotten to the end of your extension here, you're going to come into spine flexion. Trying to find flexion only where you feel that foam roller. So keep this connection down here. Try not to start to go into low back arching. That's a very dramatic example, but just doing some conscious blocking of the lower core so that we can really focus in on the specific area that we're working on, which is the thoracic spine, or wherever you have your object on your back. This is quite a bit of core. When we train spine, we're also training our core as well. Core is spine, spine is core. Once you've done a few reps, you can move your foam roller lower or maybe higher, or the ball wherever you need. Doing the same thing, keeping the low core tight as you only try to extend where you feel your object, and also trying to round and flex into that object you have. Nothing below is moving. If you're having trouble connecting and finding internal focus with this, close your eyes. Usually that helps a lot of people because we get so much into our heads and we're not really getting into what we feel in our body. Or maybe you can't feel what I'm asking you in your body. Closing your eyes will just help you build that connection. Once you've done a few reps of wherever your next position was. You can change it once again. And then this will be our last round here, finding extension, using your object as the fulcrum point, and then trying to round, find flexion at the top. Arching, extending over. Try not to dip into the lower part of the back, only upper. And then trying to round, flex where your fulcrum point is. Nice. So that was about 3 sets. I just changed the position of kind of where I had my foam roller on my back. It's going to depend on wherever you personally are tight. So do some exploring there. Next we're going to get into some prone spine extension. So we'll set up on our stomach. Hands will be right by your sides. And we want to do some conscious blocking of pelvis tilting, trying to stay out of our low spine here. So you're going to do that by scooping your tailbone underneath you to position the pelvis more neutral. My low core really has no choice but to contract a little bit here. Hands are right by your sides. You're going to start with your head down, lifting the head up off of your mat, pulling the chin into your throat. Slowly start to find extension in your upper thoracic back area. I'm imagining that my sternum is like 3 sections. I have the upper part of my sternum, I have the middle part, and then the lower part of my sternum. And I'm fighting really hard to not get into my low spine, which is where I have a lot of flexibility there. So I really have to connect to my low core and just make sure I know where my pelvis is in space to specifically get extension in that thoracic spine. Once you've gotten to the top of your thoracic extension, you're going to hold it here for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. As we come back down to the mat, I'm thinking lowering down first at the bottom of my sternum, the middle of my sternum, and then the top of my sternum. I take a breath at the bottom. Exhale, coming up again, pulling that chin into the throat. I'm trying to lift the top of the sternum, middle, and upper. And you should be feeling some tension between the shoulder blades, more in the upper region of the back. Really tighten and squeeze that part. Hold it for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. We slowly lower down rib by rib, piece by piece. Taking a breath at the bottom. We reset, pull the chin into the throat. Find the top of the sternum, middle, and the bottom. Hold it here. Tighten up the upper part of your spine. Can you make your palms light on that mat underneath you? Maybe if you're feeling confident, you can hover the hands off of the floor, really contracting the upper spine. Tap in to see if you have dipped into your low back. If you have, scoop your pelvis under you. If you're feeling tension in your low spine, decrease your range of motion, lower it down. We're going to hold here for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Piece by piece, we lower down bottom of the sternum, middle, and upper. You can do 3 reps of these spine extension lift offs. I was doing 10-second holds at the top. You can also do these until failure. So finding the top of your extension and just holding it as long as you can until you slowly start to fail back down to the mat. And then you'll do your other reps.